Let's talk about how I built a six-figure per month high-ticket dropshipping business and what the exact steps are that need to happen in order to do the exact same thing. And just to be clear, when I say six figures per month, I mean revenue, I don't mean profit. So apologies for the clickbaity title. Don't hate the player, hate the game. As you can see, I'm not in my usual filming spot here today. I figured, I've done 95% of my YouTube filming just sitting behind my desk and talking to a camera in my office. So I thought I'd mix things up just for the sake of my own variety and hopefully for the viewership enjoyment. So right now I'm parked where I usually park, right outside a local soccer complex. I'm about to do my morning run, just doing 6 easy miles. And again, just for the sake of today's video, thought I'd mix things up and maybe give you guys some content while my mind is at its freshest, which is always after the morning run. So I'm going to go rip these miles and I will get back to you guys once I'm done. 6 miles, 55 minutes, 49 seconds at a 9:17 minute per mile pace. So the run's in the books. Ended up taking a wrong turn on my route that I had planned out in my mind today. So it left me about 3/4 of a mile short of 6 miles. So luckily, close to where I park, there's a track. So I ended up just doing a few laps on the track to wrap it up. But I'm just walking around the track, letting the heart rate cool down a little bit. But let's talk about how you build a six-figure per month high-ticket dropshipping business. So I think to start out, there's a mindset, and I hate the buzzword mindset just because it's so guru-y. It's very like motivational speakery, but for lack of a better term, the mindset that you need with high-ticket dropshipping is you have to give it the respect it deserves. And what I mean by that is you have to truly treat it as a business. You have to take it very, very seriously. The reason I say that is because A, anything worth doing is worth taking seriously. And B, because of the nature of the business, you are signing and partnering with already established companies, manufacturers, in my case, mostly American-based. And you are signing legal agreements with these companies to carry their products, to represent their brand, and to actually help real customers, real people that are in need of these products. So that's kind of the mindset you need. You need to recognize that this is a real business. You are building it for long-term growth. And I think a lot of people kind of miss that mark when they get into this because they assume that it's like, any other e-commerce venture that is just like a quick startup kind of plug and play, affiliate marketing, Amazon FBA, where you just kind of put something on autopilot and hope it works. But no, this is something that takes a lot of intention and a lot of work and a lot of patience. That said, let's talk about the process, the steps that need to happen in order to build something like this. So, first things first, before you do anything, you need to set up a legal business entity. For most people, when they first start out, it's going to be a single member LLC. I'm not an accountant, I'm not an attorney, but just speaking from experience and having received advice from my own financial advisor and tax accountant, when you first start out, accounting is just a lot simpler as a single member LLC. Once your business starts doing well, which is the ideal case, then it starts to make more sense to become an S Corp. Not going to get into the weeds about that. Do your own research. Talk to a financial advisor. So that's number one. You need a legal business entity with an EIN, an employer identification number, and you will also need to get a sales tax ID from whatever state you are registered in. That assumes that your state collects sales tax. So I have a bunch of videos on this in my course as far as the credentials that you will need. But just know you will need a legal business entity to get started in high-ticket dropshipping. The next thing, you need to choose a niche. This is probably the most important step in the whole process, and it's also the hardest step in the process, and it's also the step that takes people the longest because people are indecisive, like myself, and it takes a lot of thought, and it takes a lot of deliberation. I know there are a lot of people in the YouTube space with courses and with advice on high-ticket dropshipping that say, your niche is not that important, that you can kind of use any niche and be successful with this model. You just follow the same steps and basically anything will work. And that may have been true, 10 years ago, but the space has changed, and choosing a niche requires a lot more thought and effort and deliberation. And not only that, but you kind of have to think about them differently. For instance, choosing a niche, 5 to 10 years ago, you could choose things like luxury furniture, bathtubs. I always use the example saunas, kind of lifestyle, even though it seems unusual to you, just like end products that are used for enjoyment or for someone's lifestyle. And to this day, I still have a lot of people approach me being like, hey, what do you think about hyperbaric chambers or cold plunges or exercise equipment? And I'm like, you can try it, but I'm not super optimistic about the competition that you're going to run into. So when I think about a niche, you can watch a bunch of my material. I've got a bunch of YouTube videos on niche selection, but I'm thinking I like need-based niches. So I'm thinking things like air compressors, water pumps. These are always the examples I use, but not sexy items, not attractive passion-based items that perform a function, that have specific specifications. And if they meet the price point of your customer, then they will buy it. So niche selection is the next step in the process. Once you've chosen a niche, you need to build a website. I can't recommend Shopify enough. If you can use Facebook, you can use Shopify. You don't need to be technical. That said, learning the gizmos and gadgets of Shopify, and all the themes that come along with it, the premium themes as well. Like anything else, just takes time learning the navigation. And I've got, better part of half a decade of experience at this point with Shopify. So I'm pretty quick as far as building websites. But that's the next thing you're going to have to do. Again, my course goes extremely in depth as far as what things you need to include on your website. So that's the next thing that you need to do. You need to basically build your website to a point tailored around the niche that you choose. Let's say you chose water pumps. You want to give it some kind of an industrial feel look to it. You'll want to kind of give it like a blue color scheme. I don't know. You kind of follow what I'm saying. You want to tailor the look and feel of the website to your industry. And so you do that, you make a home page, you make a couple sample product pages, basically build a skeleton of a website to a point where, you could send this to suppliers and say, hey, this is the website. Right now I'm in the process of onboarding suppliers. So the website isn't complete, but just so you kind of have a look and feel of what it looks like, this is the website. So that leads me to my next point. Once you have your website, it's time to start reaching out to suppliers. I guess let me take a quick step back. You will need to set up at least a business email attached to the domain of your website. I use Gmail for pretty much all purposes. It's the simplest, it's the easiest to connect to your Shopify domain. But just know that that's something that you will for sure want to do. So once you have that, you can start reaching out to suppliers and just say, hey, I'm with this company. This is where we're at in the process. Wanted to have a conversation with someone about opening up a dealer account. Some will say no, some won't reply at all, and some will say yes. And oftentimes, the ones that say no today will say yes down the road, depending on the type of revenue that you drive, just depending on how prevalent you become in the space. But Yeah. So reach out to suppliers, onboard the suppliers, and then once you've had a few suppliers say yes to you, they'll send you their price sheets, they'll send you their product sheets, all their marketing materials. Then it's time to start uploading the products to Shopify. This is a bit of a manual process, but it's a very important step in the process. Your product page is the most important page on your website because it is where 99% of your traffic is going to land the first time that they visit your website. So you want to make sure that you get it right. And your product page, along with your whole website, is something that can be changed at any point. It's like once you make it, it's not like it's there forever and it can't change. You can change the look and feel of any part of your website at any time. And to this day, with any business that I run, I'm constantly tailoring the website just based on what the website traffic is doing, based on user experience, based on feedback that I get. So that should at least be comforting to you. You don't. If you're like me, I'm a perfectionist, and I tend to take a long time with things, especially building the website, but that's something that you can kind of get hung up on, and honestly, you shouldn't spend a lot of time on, because you just have to recognize that you're constantly going to change it over time and try to improve it. So anyway, upload the products to Shopify. Let's say you've got your products, you've got your website set up, you've got your policy pages set up, your website's ready. Now it's time to set up a Google Merchant Center account and a Google Ads account so you can start running Google Ads. Again, I have an entire, hour-long plus section of this in my course, as far as how to set up each of these things, how to set up conversion tracking, how to set up your campaigns. But in essence, the way the Google Ads will work is, in contrast to Instagram ads or Meta ads, Facebook ads, TikTok ads, it is entirely intent driven. The thing I love about search engine advertising is that it is directed entirely towards keywords that are typed in. So, you could be scrolling through Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and you'll see an ad pop up for maybe Nike or maybe some wristwatches. I don't know, just arbitrary examples. You didn't type those in, but those types of ads are mostly there to get engagement, to get as many clicks as possible, just cast a wide net, and hopefully get someone to impulsively buy one of those products. That is not what search engine ads do. Search engine ads are there entirely to target specific keywords. And that is the beauty of high-ticket dropshipping, because you might this whole time you might be asking, okay, how do I find the right people to sell water pumps to? Well, the answer is you don't find those people, the people find you. Because when they type in water pumps for sale, or 2 horsepower water pumps, or electric water pumps, submersible water pumps, whatever they're typing into Google, your ad is what is going to be popping up when they type in those words. So in other words, you are advertising pretty much only to people that are in the market to buy those products. And I think that is the most powerful piece of high-ticket dropshipping. So start running your ads. Final thing, and the ideal thing, is to start taking orders. And from there, there's a lot of back-end stuff that I go over in my course, as far as sending purchase orders to suppliers, how to fulfill products, or fulfill orders rather. Really what it comes down to is a customer buys from you, you send a purchase order for that product to the customer, to the supplier. The supplier will charge you wholesale for that product. They will ship that product directly to the customer, and you will keep the difference of what the customer paid versus what you paid the supplier. And that's the basic model of high-ticket dropshipping, and then you rinse and repeat. So, I am about to head back home. I'm going to wrap that video up here. Hope it's helpful. But do all of those things. It's not going to be perfect for everybody. The biggest thing, I think, is that you are patient and you don't give up when things don't go your way in the first month, 2 months, 3 months. It's something that takes a lot of time and effort, but has the potential for enormous long-term growth. And it can lead to months like me where, I've generated $270,000 in a single month in revenue. So that's it for this one, and we'll see you in the next.